Dear Patriots, before the news starts, please subscribe to our patriotic channel by clicking the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up to this video. Don't forget to leave your opinion below in the comments section. Share the news on Facebook and Twitter so your friends see it. Thank you.
Trump just achieved what no other president has in 150 years, defying all detractors. President Trump has called himself the Lone Ranger, and he proved that just last week, when he made a deal with Democrats. Even though voters had to vote him in under the Republican column in the voting booth, it was clear that that party had not accepted him. Or if they did, most did so kicking and screaming. Now, in less than a year as POTUS, he has shown that he is the first true independent to hold the office since the current two-party system began around the time of the Civil War. And isn't that why America elected him? Myself and others at Liberty Writers have reported on countless stories about Trump going against leaders in what is technically his own party. These include Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, John McCain and others. True patriots were sick and tired of the swamp which consists of both Republicans and Democrats alike. Trump promised to drain that swamp and that's why America made him our president. Trump wants to do business. And he will do business, even if it pisses some people off. And, again, isn't that why patriots elected him? Do you think Trump knows exactly what he's doing? If so, comment "Keep it up Mr. President" and share to gather support from everywhere. The New York Times. Last night Trump met with his team and made a video about Hurricane Irma Americans need to see. President Trump called together a meeting of his cabinet at Camp David last night with one very important issue to discuss: Hurricane Irma. This hurricane has already displaced basically the entire state of Florida and the president knows action must be taken. Clearly, the president is hard at work doing his best to resolve the upcoming problems before they even start. He is mobilizing the National Guard to help out. He is considering a larger funds package for hurricane relief. It was not all hurricane talk at Camp David over the weekend, though. Trump and his trusted generals also mapped out their new strategy for how to deal with North Korea. At the same time, the president used the gathering as a chance to set up his new tax reform policy with his top economic advisors, all of whom were helping with hurricane issues as well. Oh hell no, North Korea's sick new personal attack on Nikki Haley will make blood boil. British Prime Minister Winston Churchill once said, "You have enemies? Good. That means you've stood up for something, sometime in your life." It looks like that saying just came true for U.S. Ambassador to the UN Nikki Haley. North Korean state media Korean Central News Agency just lambasted Haley in response to her comments at the UN earlier this week, in which she condemned the Hermit Kingdom's latest nuclear test and proposed new sanctions on the country, including an oil embargo. The news station called her a prostitute and added, "She is crazily swishing her skirt, playing the flagship role in Trump administration's hideous sanctions and pressure racket." A threat to the U.S. followed fault with, "Nikki should be careful with her tongue though she might be a blind fool. The U.S. administration will have to pay a dear price for her tongue lashing." Wow. Nikki Haley a prostitute? Although this isn't even close to the worst thing North Korea has done, this just goes to show the level of depravity and incivility they're willing to sink to. It's also one more example of how difficult they are going to be to negotiate with. For her part, Nikki Haley took it all in stride, not releasing any public statement or acknowledging North Korea's sick, sexist insult. Nikki Haley is an incredible fighter and has been doing amazing work at the UN so far this year. It is so hard to see her insulted by the likes of Kim Jong-un, but it's all the more reason to be proud of the work she's doing. Let's show our girl at the UN some support by sharing this 10,000 times. The Independent. President Trump just made 3 huge tax promises that will have every American cheering. President Trump has had a busy week preparing for Hurricane Irma before it makes landfall in Florida, but that doesn't mean he isn't also working on other important pieces of legislation to govern the country. One of the biggest reforms President Trump is looking to accomplish is tax reform, and he made 3 major promises in his weekly address on Friday that you don't want to miss. Here's exactly what he said. Our current burdensome tax code is a massive lead weight against the American economy. It costs us millions of jobs, trillions of dollars, and billions of hours wasted on paperwork and compliance. My administration is working closely with Congress to develop a plan that will deliver more jobs, higher pay, and lower taxes for businesses of all sizes and most importantly for middle-class families all across America. First, we are going to make filing taxes as simple as possible. If you're like most Americans, under our plan you will file your taxes on a single page. What a difference that will make, and you won't need to keep endless receipts and paperwork. We are freeing you from the horrible tax maze. Secondly, we will cut taxes for middle-class families. We want you to keep more of your hard-earned money. This way, you could spend it, you could save it, you could do whatever you want. Third, we will restore our competitive edge so we can create more jobs and higher wages for the American worker. We are going to cut taxes on American industry so we can create more business in our country. Woohoo! Honestly, this is the first time I've actually been excited to do my taxes. President Trump is a businessman. He knows exactly the kinds of excessive taxes that are strangling business. And since he isn't a dyed-in-the-wool politician, he's ready to make smart and efficient reforms that are both practical and useful. It's great to have someone in the White House who actually is serious about tax reform. Love what the president has been saying? Share it out, patriots. HD Real Clear Politics. Oh my God, Al Sharpton's daughter was just arrested for violent attack that will make blood boil. Al Sharpton's daughter just got arrested for allegedly assaulting a cab driver in New York City on her 30th birthday, and the details are beyond sick. Ashley Sharpton was booked for petty larceny Saturday after allegedly fighting with a cab driver and throwing his keys on the street, the New York Post reports. The terrified cabbie, Georges Coley, related his experience to the New York Post, at one point breaking down in tears. Coley said how he tried to pick up Sharpton and her friends around 1 a.m. Sharpton had 4 friends with her. The cab only could fit 4 riders, but she tried to get all 5 of her party in the cab anyway. Coley said when he tried to tell her he could only take 4 people total, she became irate and slammed the door and gave me attitude. When he then asked them to take a cab that could accommodate 5 rides, they refused to leave. That's when he said she snatched the keys out of his ignition and started running away. I followed her for over a block begging for my keys back and I had to step in front of her and ask. That's when she swung at my face and ended up punching me in the chest. Sharpton was arrested shortly after Coley called the police, and when reached for comment, her lawyer said what was reported did not happen. Wonder how proud he'll be after he hears about this? HT New York Post. Trump just did the most incredible thing for Florida that will save lives from Irma. It's remarkable how hard the media tries to bring our president down, despite the overwhelming evidence that he is doing a great job. And that includes what he has done for Texas in the wake of Hurricane Harvey and what he is doing for Florida as it braces against Hurricane Irma. Professor Carolyn Heldman thinks Trump did a great job with Harvey, and he continues to bring relief from that hurricane. She says we are starting to see him shine. She went on to say that he is doing an exceptionally good job regarding hurricane relief. According to Florida Governor Rick Scott, Trump talks with him pretty much every day. And Trump told him I will provide whatever resources you need. Scott himself has said that we will spare no expense to save every life in this state. So, together, Trump and Scott are determined to do whatever is necessary to save lives in the midst of this second natural disaster to hit our sweet country in the past few weeks. If you agree that Trump is doing an exceptionally good job, comment, "Great job, Mr. President," and brag about our president by sharing this everywhere. H.T. The Hill. Hallelujah! President Trump just did something incredible for churches hit by hurricane. President Trump is a tough leader, but the hurricane disaster relief has brought his compassion to the fore and is even impressing some of his critics. On Thursday, the president threw his support behind churches struggling to get disaster relief money from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. 3 Texan churches filed a federal lawsuit this week to get access to those funds after being damaged in the storm. The lawsuit alleges they are not getting a fair shake from FEMA, claiming the agency categorically excludes houses of worship from equal access to disaster relief grants because of their religious status. One of the churches damaged by Harvey, the Highway Tabernacle, had been a FEMA shelter and operations point, preparing over 8,000 meals for those affected by the storm. Republican Senator Ben Sasse also got behind the churches, writing a letter to FEMA Administration Brock Long condemning possible discrimination against churches. It sends the message that communities of worship aren't welcome to participate fully in public life. It reduces the facilities and volunteer time, talent, and effort available to support the border community. For its part, FEMA told The Hill that religious organizations that assisted the relief effort could be eligible for funds, saying, "Any private nonprofit, plug-and-play, organization, including a religious organization that provides eligible services may be eligible for federal assistance under FEMA's Public Assistance Program, PA, to help restore its facilities and equipment." Note that this is only if churches provide disaster relief services. There were no comments reported for churches receiving aid if they were not a part of the relief effort, if they were too damaged to help, for instance. President Trump's support of this issue is a great sign for faith-based institutions, and will hopefully go a long way in bringing about legislative change that can help these important pillars of every community. H.T. The Hill.